Yeah, Joe Driscoll, Inspiration, nice little track.
Okay,
Speaking of
okay.
inspiration, Inspiration Brown.
What's going on, my man? What's going on? I almost misread your name about 3 times when you typed it up there, but
Yeah,
what we got here? Posterity. Posterity, Brown. That's a big word, bro.
Poster. Oh yeah, it's a good word. It's a good word. It's just like Tenet, the movie, has got me thinking about a few things, and I had this sort of thought that came up in the middle of the week, which I shared with you a little bit, and you were like, "Yeah, man, all right, let's
Let, let's preface this. I actually asked you before
yeah,
that, bro. What does the
yeah,
word actually mean? Like
yeah,
we're talking big boy words here, and I'm a little
yeah,
bit junior for this. So,
yeah."
do you want to share? Do you want to share the definition of posterity for the people?
Yeah, posterity. It's just future generations. The future. That's it. Just people in the future, your future generations. It comes down. Yeah, that's it. Essentially, it's just the future. But I wanted to get. I think it would be good to get into that after understanding your inspiration, what inspiration Brown is about. Because posterity Brown had some thoughts. I think it'd be nice to just warm us up a little bit
Mm,
before
mm.
we get there.
It's a big one. It's a big one. I'm sensing a big one, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, get excited, y'all. Get excited. Okay.
Inspiration. This is gonna be big as well, man. We start big. We're starting big. Ain't
2021
nothing
episode
small about
2.
this.
Yeah, nah,
Yeah.
nah. So, inspiration this week has come knocking on my door from very many places, and I'd say it's at a time where I feel like we've discussed this just before we come on, that I love what I do. I love this forum we have here, and I feel like we talk about a lot of stuff that is super helpful for everybody. But the place that we want to take this, or we feel we need to take this, led me to seek inspiration from a few different sources this week. And I remember that I'm likening all of this stuff back to what I actually talked about last week, which was, who was I when I initially took a hold of myself and said, look, shit's got to change. And I was somebody who had this like stored well of inspiration from specific people. But then I actually had to go out there and seek more inspiration to be, look, I really like that guy's style in this respect. I wanna walk in his steps in that sense. Or I like how he talks. I think that's a really valuable, and I feel like we should bring that. I should channel that in the way I talk. Or I like how he carries himself. Or she's got a really great style. Or just the way that this person operates. It's there's something about it which catches my eye, which catches my attention. So this week I had a few kind of moments of downtime where I thought to myself, okay, where do I draw my inspiration from? And I'd say a lot of it comes from my faith. A lot of it comes from my growing connection with that. But that's not everyone's bag, so I'm not going to go into that too much. I'm going to go into actually watching old videos of Tupac this week,
Yeah.
which it's something that I've not done before. I actually no, tell a lie. I have done it a little bit, but it's not really hit home like it hit home this week. And now I'm not going to claim to be any kind of expert or any kind of aficionado on the guy or even his entire message. But what hit me really hard was the clarity with which he could conduct his speech, and how I feel like it was his most effective asset was how he could put his thoughts from in here to out to the world. And I almost likened it in my head. I had the analogy of like gas on a burner hob. Like you can have it in your brain and it can be like the gas that's coming out. You hear that, and you kind of get a bit of a smell. But until you press that ignition and you light it, the flame don't come out. And that flame is what came out of that guy's mouth sometimes, because you hear it in his lyrics. You hear it just when you sat and talking in an interview. That this stuff is there to change, right? And we can draw inspiration from anyone. I'm just talking about my own taking from this week, and it sat with me in a way that I could actually fully immerse myself in something that I agreed with, something that I saw, and that really made me feel a certain way. And what I wanted to just bring to the table today and talk to you about this a little bit and really kind of bring it to our listeners is, where do you draw inspiration from, and why? And I think, what kind of effect does it have on you? So, what do you think, G? What do you think? What do you think about inspiration, and where do you find it?
I find it in quite a few different places.
Mm-hmm.
Find it from our conversations, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's like you'll say something and I'll think about it, and it just it's inspiring because you just feel like there's this energy that comes out of it, and it just gets you excited to just do your thing. Find inspiration from goals, from the work that I do, and like knowing that it has such a positive effect on people. Just like I could say one little thing, or I could help somebody through one little thing, and I don't even realize how much of a big deal it can be to them sometimes, and then they'll. And then sometimes I think that here's one thing that's going to have a big impact, but then it was actually another thing in the sense that it was something that was different, something that was smaller, something that it really resonated with, and yeah, so I draw a lot of inspiration from that. Draw a lot of inspiration from the results I help people get,
Mm.
and yeah, that always keeps me going. Inspiration, yeah, from future G as well,
Mm.
as is what's inspiring. The environment around me as well, just kind of looking around. Like last week talked about how by every metric things are looking fucked and they don't look like they're getting any better. But that just inspires me to to level up.
That's
It
it.
gets me fired up to just do better and be better rather than just being like, all right, well everything's shit. I'm like, no, don't give a fuck about if everything is shit. I'm gonna do my thing and I'm gonna rise above it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's yeah, and draw inspiration from different things,
For
and
sure, man.
then
For sure, yeah,
yeah.
man. And I think one of the main things that you touched on there, you touched on it kind of briefly, as I know you're going to get into it when you start talking about posterity, but like
Mm,
the thought of what could be,
mm,
and that kind of inspires me both ways. Like, if, say, I don't take action right now, and my life is
mm,
is where it is, taking a step out. Like, you've introduced me to this concept of looking at your life from a bird's eye view, and
mm,
really kind of plotting out, okay, right, well, I wake up at a certain time, I go to work, I talk to Sandra, I say good morning, she says good morning, I say, and then we have the same egg sandwich for lunch and whatever, and then I just kind of come on home, right? So I definitely don't do that, but like, this is, you know what I mean,
this is
right?
someone else's life.
This
Yeah.
is this is definitely someone else's life, but I don't mind an egg sandwich now and then. That's pretty
Yeah,
tasty, man.
man,
Yeah, yeah,
those some
but
eggs.
the gluten kickback is not worth it, man. Um,
Yeah.
but what I really mean is, like, if we extrapolated that out and we looked at, okay, am I having effective enough conversations so that the outcome is going to be something that is good? Am I inspired by that outcome? If I'm not, I'm almost inspired to make sure that I don't let this carry on. And
Mm,
so it kind of inspires you to think, okay, there could be something glorious at the end of this, or there could be something far beneath what I feel my potential is. And I'm
mm,
inspired both ways, by the potential of what could be, and by the potential of what I could let slip out of my grasp. And that thought this week, it made me think about what I'm letting influence me right now, and whether it's just taking up my time and I'm kind of just existing in it. Like, for instance, social media. However much time I spend kind of just scrolling, I feel like I've just shut that down hard this week. And
mm,
and it's, and you've talked about this before, like kind of fasting from devices and everything else, and fasting
mm,
from inputs that we don't need. Basically, just living in that awareness of this inspiration, and
yeah.
seeing which way it's kind of directing us. That's
Mm,
the thought I've had this week, and I feel like it's something that I'm building on by making
mm,
time to journal, and by making time to introspect and look at myself and be like, okay, right, well, is this moving us towards where we need to move towards? And we talked about this last
mm,
week. Like, there's a very clear and obvious path that shit's kind of taken right now, and I
mm,
feel like that is, it's the path has been made. You know what I mean? So in whatever
mm,
way we see that, and what I'm talking about is basically just people kind of panicking a little bit, people feeling a little bit unsure, people maybe feeling like woe is me and woe is the world. The inspiration is that, okay, well, we need to provide something alternative to this, because what
Yeah.
is the, if we extrapolate this out, are we going to turn into a world of kind of haters and losers and kind of whiners? Well, no, that's not really what I want to live. That's not really what I want to have for my children or have for my future generations. So let's let that kind of inspire us the other way, to make action now. And we talked about so much of this last week in terms of goal setting, like looking at yourself honestly and being straight up with where you are wanting, where you are having the opportunity to do better. I know you want to touch on the wording of this stuff, so it made me think about how I said it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's the kind of thoughts I've been having this week, and they're really nice to have these thoughts, man, because you leave the conversation with like a proper well of dopamine in here, man, and it's just
Yeah.
like this. I'm just bathing in this shit right now, and I feel like it's
Yeah.
it's the way, man. It's genuinely the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. This, at the end of the day, is like I don't know. I don't know if you can see it. Just, as a man thinketh, right? So my housemate got that for me for my birthday, and it's just so simple. It's like a pamphlet, and it's just basically your thoughts help determine who you are. There's a direct correlation between the kind of thoughts that you have and the kind of person that you end up living out being. And so if you can shift those thoughts from negative thoughts, first of all, become aware of them, because it's actually super difficult to become aware of them. You just have these things just whirring in your head all the time, all the time, all the time. But then start become aware of them, realize the ratio of shit talk to actual positive talk, and then find just realize that actually more often than not, for most people, more often than not, they're just going to be giving themselves a lot of crap talk, and then being like, all right, well, I need to actively shift this ratio, and then start saying things not like wishy-washy affirmations that everybody talks about, right? It's like, oh, everything is great, I will be great because this and this. Is like, no, it's more like, think of something that's true to you, and think of for example, just think of something where you've done something that you're super proud of, and be like, okay, well, what are all the traits of that individual? And then okay, well, the traits of that individual are they're thoughtful, they take action, they are productive, they are disciplined, they are resilient. You lay those things out, you're like, oh shit, I have that, I am capable of that. So the kinds of and then that can inspire you. So then the kinds of thoughts that you're having are inspiring you to do better. So for me, it's like inspiration begets inspiration. So you keep doing the things which make you feel inspired, and then more of it comes your way. So yeah, it's and we touched on I think it was last week as well, where we were talking about how to get that dopamine boost, which is the feel good neurochemical neuromodulator, to kick in along the way. It's a subjective thing, so it's not that it's objective, it just happens at a certain time. It's like, no, you can make it happen by the quality of the thoughts that you're having and the quality of the actions that you're taking, and your behaviors and everything like that. So if you inject it in subjectively and be like, no, what, instead of it being something where, to say you're on the path to something and it can feel super difficult. This is something we were just talking a little bit about off air, but when you're on the path to something and it can feel super difficult, and instead of it being like, okay, like you said, woe is me, things are hard, I'm a loser. It's like, no, actually, I'm leaning into the challenge. This is good, because I'm improving the boundaries of my limits. Then you get that dopamine kick. If you don't say those things to yourself, you don't get it. So you don't reward yourself for the effort that you're putting in. So there's inspiration from the action you're taking. There's inspiration from the thoughts you're having. Do all of that, and you're building up to a better quality for yourself, a better quality human being for yourself, right?
Too right, man. Too right. I think you really touched on some very key points there, because one of the things you said there, which is really interesting, is that I think people need a lot of help with understanding their own thoughts. So like as simple as it is, but if you took out 10 minutes and you actually started to write down some of the thoughts you had, then it's there in front of you, right? And as kind of as basic as it sounds, that's going to allow you to sit and actually just be with it. And on the back of that, you can start to categorize whether this vocabulary fits into one of two categories, right? And I feel like we almost need to set out like a growth mindset vocabulary around.
Yeah.
Okay, if you speak in a past tense or a future tense or a current tense, cool. That's existing in like a grammar setting. But if you're talking in a growth or a non-growth mindset, well, that's much more fundamental to who and what direction you're going to be taking for the rest of your life. Like you can know that Sandra went to town, or Sandra is going to town, or Sandra is in town, or whatever the fuck it is. But if it's not how if you're not understanding how you're perceiving your thoughts on a daily basis, then where you are is where you'll always be. You know what I mean? Because you, like you said, you'll just keep swirling around in this. And then the unfortunate thing is that there's so much noise in the world right now. I've noticed it by turning off social media. I feel like we joke about it when we press the mute button on each other. There's just like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, where did everyone go? Like, so we
Yeah.
just turn the world
It's,
off for a
yeah,
minute.
exactly.
It's a bit scary.
The silence is deafening, right?
Yeah, man, totally. But that I feel like I've experienced a little bit more this week, and it's everything, especially right now when there's so much noise everywhere, and you can't go outside without people looking at you and checking if you've got a mask on, and if you cough, God forbid you cough, right? Like that's just like get him, like get out of here. You know what I mean? Like you got to
You
go.
remember that? I don't know if you saw that meme that was going around like late last year, which was like, in 2019, it was you would cough to cover up your fart. Now in 2020, you fart to cover up your cough.
I love that. I love that. Just busted it.
It was too funny, man. I just hit
I'm
home.
picturing that.
Hit home.
I'm picturing that with like Homer Simpson when he's like looking off to the side,
Yeah,
and he's just like,
exactly. Shifty eyes, like.
I actually coughed. Yeah. Oh man, that's too good. That's too good.
Yeah,
But
man. But yeah,
yeah,
like I said, the noise, and just looking out and people watching you, and you're just hyper aware. Like, or rather, you're stimulated a lot more like that.
yeah, and that for like to quote Batman, that for the uninitiated, I feel like it's going to be absolutely overwhelming. And then you couple that with not breathing correctly, not understanding your nutrition, not sleeping well. Fucked is the recipe. Like
Yeah, man.
that's what that's going to turn into. And it's so sad to think because it's just going to go one way. Like when we look at the ingredients, and like Chalos talks about this all the time. I think he really puts it well. It's like if you have a recipe and all the ingredients are shit, the back end of it, you're going to just get shit. Like it just
Yeah.
will be a mess, right? But
Yeah.
putting the little bits that we need to in line, and I really honestly do feel like it starts with let me analyze my own thoughts. And like this podcast don't get out to the world, unfortunately, but the people that are listening to this, I feel like this is your call to action right now. Do not adjust your broadcast, right? This is legit. I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Start looking at your thoughts and start checking yourself, because if that shit ain't where it needs to be, then we need to align real quick. You know what I mean? Because action time is here, right? Like we need to help ourselves so we can help the next guy, so we can help the next girl, so we can just get ourselves through this, all right? Because it's just the way. It's what the environment is commanding right now. So
That's it, man.
yeah, it'll be interesting to hear some feedback. Got some good feedback last week. Be interesting to hear some good feedback this week around this this topic, because
Yeah.
it
Exactly.
is super necessary. There we go. 2 and 2, man. Take
Super
that.
necessary.
Take that,
It's
people.
coming. Yeah, exactly. Is yeah, and even like got a message from Sam as well. Shout out to Sam again. Like she's still inspiring people around her. There's
That's it,
people listen to her episode of the podcast, which was a few months ago now. So there's still people taking inspiration from that. So
She's the most viewed episode, I
good.
think, on YouTube
I think
anyway.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, on YouTube
Just
anyway.
smashed
I
it.
don't know about the other. Yeah, I think the most viewed was our first one, which is
Yes.
bizarre to me, but
Yeah.
but
I think it's just one of those things when somebody finds a podcast, like, let me just listen to the first episode, because I was surprised by that as well. I was like, there's so many people finding it later and later and later.
yeah.
But yeah, because we've hit like, oh man, last time I checked, there was at least a couple thousand downloads now, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty
But
special, man.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, and the last time I checked, actually, because it's funny because our market has grown in India, because
Yes.
I've uploaded the podcast into the Indian some of the streaming services, or sorry, the like yeah, those listening services, and I think TJ's episode has become the most listened to episode now
Sick.
because his
Sick.
name, and the reason I think this is because his name was like T Man Singh on
Yes.
on the title. It's like, oh, they got a sing on here. We're gonna listen to
Bang.
that.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
That's amazing.
But yeah, that's just so funny, man. But I'll double check that. I'll double check because that was like a couple weeks ago. I had a look at what the stats were saying, and then
I love that.
I'll have another look at it again. But
I
it's
was
pretty jokes, man.
I almost want TJ to be like a low key celebrity in India right now.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah,
the man's gonna be like he's going one way. He's going one way in his own words. He's going one way, right? But I want him to just go out there
yeah,
and just
man.
be a billboard of T-Man Singh, just like
Yeah,
some Indian superhero that no one's ever heard of. But
yeah,
now they have. Now
exactly,
they
man.
have. Love
Yeah,
it, man.
man. Because
I love
you're gonna
that.
love it. It's so jokes, man. It's wicked. But yeah, I'll check it out again. And yeah, and just in terms of like what
There we go.
you were saying. There we
There
go.
we go.
Yeah, just
He's
stick my
back.
hand up on the camera, and then the blurriness goes away. So yeah, checking the quality of your thoughts, massively important, and you won't even notice that it's happening as well. So, give a good example of this. I was catching up with a client this week, and so as part of like the weekly review, just put in some answers. It was like, what are the things you want went well for you? What are the things you want to focus on this week? And the language that was getting used was, I should do this, I got to do that, I need to do this. And I was like, okay, cool. This is it's like it's not just on one thing; it happened on several things. And this is somebody who's like super pumped. They're ready, like they're doing really, really well, and taking things by the scruff of the neck. But in every journey, you just get to a point where it becomes you can lose connection with the goal, with the vision that you have for your result, and it's very natural to happen. And so it's a little bit weaker in the mind, and then you start to tell yourself the things you have to do as opposed to it being things you want to be doing and why it's important to you and why it's good for you. So I noticed this with the language. And then, so when we were finishing up the session, I was like, okay, I just want to talk through these things. Is like the language that you're using is influencing the relationship you have with your goals and your endeavor. So if you're saying, I got to do this, guess what? Every time, like I just say it, and I'm saying it not even in context to anything. It's like I've got to do this. When I say that, I feel some resistance inside. I need to do this. When I say that, I feel some resistance inside. I have to. It's I should do. It's like it's almost like it's almost as a prerequisite. There is resistance built into the outcome of using those words. So every time you say stuff like that, you're actually making it harder for you to continue on your endeavor and get closer towards your goal. And so I addressed this. I was like, look, go back to what the goal means to you and look at how far you've come and keep appreciating the journey along the way. And it was like, yeah, man, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for pointing that out. I really need to hear that. So flip the language that you're using, and instead of it being, I got to, I have to, I need to, I should do, it's like, I want to. I'm going to, I get the chance to do this, and because it's an opportunity to serve yourself, right, and do better for yourself. So it's like, hey, why wouldn't I want to do that? And then all of a sudden, your inspiration comes back. You feel good about the endeavor. It stops feeling like it's such a great, and it stops grating on you, and it stops feeling like it's such a chore. So you wanna be able to check your thoughts, see the kind of language you're using with yourself, and then when you do that, and you realize, oh wait, actually I can change that. I need to make that different, and it will have a direct influence on how good you feel about the journey that you're on, and then also by extension how likely you are to achieve the result you're after. So check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I love that, man. I love that. Do you know what? You made me think of, weirdly enough, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you much of a Dragon Ball Z aficionado?
I used to watch it a fair bit when I was a kid, but
Yeah, yeah.
I just because I got bored of how long it was taking.
It was long. It was
It
long. You're
was like
right.
it'd be like 3 lines said in one episode. It's 22 minutes later and nothing's happened except everybody's
Yes.
just going, "Come here, come here," and then I was like, "That was cool," but now what?
Now
Yeah, that
what?
was it.
You're totally right. You're totally right. This is a gripe of every Dragon Ball Z fan out there. But
Yep.
I feel like when it happened though, bro, come on, that was pretty special.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Yeah,
special. I
of
was like,
course.
oh my god, I've been saying it for 3 weeks, but it's
Yeah,
finally
yeah,
happened.
exactly. I'll wait till next year now.
Exactly. But what it made me think of was like, so the premise of Dragon Ball Z is that it gets to a pivotal place where shit's hit the fan so bad that you
Yeah.
need to absolutely just go ape shit to fix it, right?
Yeah.
And as much as that is like me watching that as a kid was like, fuck yeah, that's the way.
Yeah.
I need to get so mad that I can just do anything, right? I could just kind of like turn it off and don't care what the obstacle is. It's getting told which way to go because
Yeah.
I'm pissed, right? Like that's it, right? That's
Just
it,
go
right?
Super Saiyan. You're in Super
Yeah.
Saiyan mode every day, every hour of the day.
And what you find out real quickly is that you have a finite amount of Super Saiyan. Like it's
Yeah.
there, thank the Lord, it's there, but
Yeah.
you can't rely on that shit. But what you can rely on is constantly fueling the process with, oh, I'm really happy about this. Oh, I really get to do that. I really get to kind of move forward. And this is exactly what the way you've checked your client there, I think is absolutely foundational. Like this, and that's probably the most important thing it can be for the client right now is like just rest yourself on this, no, this knowledge that we have to be present enough to just kind of smile about what's going on right now, and then
Yeah.
realize, like you said in your own words, we get to be present here. We get to kind of have our awareness raised to these things, as opposed to like it being that Herculean effort all the time. And that,
Yeah.
as much as you can fantasize about it and kind of get lost in the glory of like, oh my god, I did it! Like this is the biggest thing ever. Yeah, cool. One that I'm not taking anything away from that because when it does happen, the whole world blows up and then you transform that you could never go back. But also you need to take a whole saga off because your ass is beat and you're just super tired now. Maybe you get a heart condition or some shit happens, right? Like this is
Yeah.
that's Dragon Ball Z storyline for anybody who doesn't know,
Yeah,
right?
man.
But it's yeah, that was a kind of a childhood lesson that I definitely took one way and realized that it didn't really serve me as much as it could have if I'd had your perspective also at the same time, because it's about balance, right? It's about balance and
Yeah.
having the absolute high in your pocket, knowing that if you need to go there, you can go there, but also knowing that when you click the trigger, there's also a consequence to that. Whereas this is just like little peppering shots, little peppering bits of boost, of boost, and more often than not, the effort that's required, it doesn't need something huge because that can almost be like whacking it with a sledgehammer when all you really need to do is just press the doorbell. Like that's
Yeah.
going to keep us going now. I mean, that's going to keep the ship sailing.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Is you got to be able to. It's the incremental gains. You got to be able to dose it with that subjective quality of I'm going in the right direction. I'm going in the right direction, rather than be like you said, rather than just being having to go Super Saiyan because nothing's gone right for a long time, you know. And
Yes.
and actually, that's probably a good analogy for like how people generally approach their health and fitness goals anyway, which is.
Fuck yeah.
But the thing is, dude, you're an anomaly as well because you can go Super Saiyan and you can stay Super Saiyan because you're
Nah.
just so.
Nah.
No, what I mean is like from like what I understand about your history, right? Is the level of commitment you had to just going to the place was just
Yeah.
it is just it's going to happen no matter what, right? And it's true that anybody needs that, but so then the level like so your Super Saiyan was able to last longer than most people's is what I mean. So
But my
yeah, go
my
on.
problem was also a big fucking problem. You know, like that was
Yeah,
that was
right,
pretty systemic. But then, yeah, I
right,
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
yeah,
But then, like now, I feel I'm in a more normal place now. So like
yeah,
right now, I'm like, okay, I don't. It's cool to have had that experience, and I love it for what it was. But if we're talking about what you're talking about here, it's definitely going to be more valuable to be in the moment, because I feel like what I would have done back in the day is looked at like the Rocky Balboa story. It's like I got to get
Yeah.
punched in the face 400 times before I just like start unleashing my left hooks like again and again and again,
Yeah.
and getting this to go my way. But
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily need to happen. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying what you said, because yeah,
Mm,
I feel like it was a march, a big jump in the right direction.
yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, man, yeah, I hear you too.
Yeah. It's just that quality of going Super Saiyan. Like you said, it's just something that needs to be that you tap into. So, I was from my observation, just hearing your stories, it was just like, okay, you went Super Saiyan for a while, and then like you just realize that that's just not the way to sustain anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whereas and so the great thing is you've learned a lesson, like you said, you know you can go there, right? You know you can go to that Super Saiyan level. So anytime it's required of you, what tends to happen, and I'm equating like going Super Saiyan and then the rest of the time nothing is going down, to that all or nothing approach as well for a lot of people, where we're talking incremental gains, because incremental gains is what you can build on and build on and build on until you don't even realize how far you've come. You have to really look back and go, oh yeah, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, and then like because as an example again, like another, like one of my clients, just every session that I tune in, they're just saying one extra thing where something good has happened or something has improved for them, and I'm like, over the course of this period, I hope you're keeping track, because I swear you've said like 50 different things that have gone right for you, and like it doesn't even and things that might not even relate to the program, but they've gone right as a result of you being on the program, right? And so it's just that it's just that building without even realizing it. But a lot of the times, what happens, especially this time of year, is like, okay, I'm gonna go fucking Super Zen and I'm gonna get into shape, and you burn out real quickly because you're like, oh, I just don't have the energy to do that. I don't really know what I'm doing. I can't sustain that. Oh shit, I've hurt myself a little bit. Oh, you know what? Actually, I've burnt out all my motivation for it. All that kind of stuff. And so yeah, it's like, no, you can go there, but that's not the way to approach your goal and keep that result for the rest of your life. You got to be able to build it incrementally into the routine, and when you have it in the routine, it's like, hey, you don't even you can reach that Super Saiyan level without actually having to go Super Saiyan. It just takes a while. You see what I mean? It's like
Yep.
equating it to again is when you're going all or nothing in the all period, you're going Super Saiyan, you're all the way up here, everything is going really, 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 really well, and then you just crash back down again. But if you take that incremental approach and you're building, you've reached that Super Saiyan level without ever having to actually go Super Saiyan. And now, because you've got that baseline, if you do need to go Super Saiyan, your level's up here instead of actually this being your ceiling. So, yeah, that's how I'm kind of thinking about that as well. Just
I
all or
love this.
nothing, Super Saiyan versus non-Super Saiyan.
I love it. Dragon Ball Z logic, man. Above achieve thrive.
Yeah.
You weren't expecting that this today. You weren't expecting none of that today. So
Yeah, a collaboration between Dragon Ball Z and Evolve Achieve Thrive.
that's the one. Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, we got the
Right.
poster on the door. So I mean, we need to bust it out, man. This is
I
too
know
good.
we need. Oh man, we need to get an animator in. So it's like while we're actually doing this live recording,
Just,
we've got flames just
yeah.
around us.
I love
That
that,
would
man.
be
I
epic.
absolutely love that. This, but yeah, that what you were saying there. Um, I had a thought, it just went away. But
Dragon Ball Z, Logic, All or Nothing, Super Saiyan.
mm, nah, it'll come back. It'll come back if it needs to.
Okay,
But yeah,
cool man.
sound logic, man. Totally sound logic. And if nobody out there has watched Dragon Ball Z, I would recommend the Cell Saga. Like that's
The
probably
Cell.
the Cell Saga. I would say there's more shit happening in the Cell Saga than most other sagas,
Right.
and yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think you should go check it out. I know Sam's son is all over Dragon Ball Z. He has the coolest Dragon Ball Z shit I've ever seen. So shout out to, I think it's Samit, who has just crazy amounts of memorabilia and like hoodies and t-shirts and whatnot. So representing, man, representing.
That's the jokes. Is
Yeah, man.
I might go back and watch that, man, because
Damn right need to, man.
yeah, I was just thinking, it's like it would be cool to just tap back into that and be like, what was cool about it? And yeah, the Cell Saga, got to find that. But yeah,
Special,
man.
man. Special.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
I
You know
feel
what?
like go on.
God, no, God. You feel like what?
I feel like the what was I going to say? The transformation element to it was probably the first time
Yeah.
you see, like, not first time, but very obvious, like training equals wins or training equals progress, and that
Right.
that was like, even though I didn't get into martial arts when I was younger, when I saw that, just instilled like work hard and you have what you want. Work hard and you have what you want. So
Nice.
like the message beneath the madness was definitely laid in deep, and then you just like. But when you need an extra bit of push, and you think back to like an episode or something kind of takes you proper like the dopamine reaction to seeing somebody just go, fuck it, I'm pulling the pin, and
Yeah.
we just go, right. That's definitely there when it comes to training. You
Yeah.
you need that sometimes.
Sick, man. I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing we could touch on as well. Is like work hard, you can have it, right? You can have
Mm.
what you want because you are the maker of you. It's. I think it feels like it's kind of getting lost in a way.
Mm.
Like just looking around and just I know people who suffer from like a bit of nihilism, from just being like, just kind of being lost in in the, not even lost in the concept. It's like don't even realize it, but just kind of nothing is for anything. And but the crazy thing is like I've seen it as well. The moment you start working towards something that actually is of value to you, like people's anxiety levels just drop. I've
Mm.
literally I've seen this happen. I've talked to people, talked at least specifically one person who this has happened to, and so if I mean if you want to combat stagnation, is work towards something that you find valuable.
100%, man. 100%. I feel like
Mm.
the issue there though is that either people don't know that they're there, or if they do know that they're there, it's almost like the self-talk is because it's so ever present. There's no time to really analyze and be like, oh, this is making me. It's like this is making me a certain way. Like you were talking about nihilism and being like, I suppose, nihilistic. It's so deeply rooted that it's like an automatic response, and we just keep running the same pathway and the same pathway. And we will see this like culturally. Like I could remember every like meeting with an auntie, or like going home and then coming over, and how it kind of generally runs, right? It's just the same rhetoric. Everyone comes over, oh, hello, 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 and everyone's happy to see each other, even though they don't really like each other. And then everyone kind of is about to start bitching about his mom and his auntie, and oh, did you hear about his wife and what kind of stuff? Like, it just runs the same way, and people just are stuck in the same mode. And I feel
Right.
like knocking that out with a hammer and just kind of breaking this is so difficult for people to do, because you need outliers. You need people that kind of. I remember being like in that at a young age and being like, "This is all bullshit. Like this is
Yeah.
all bullshit. Like y'all people need to stop, because what are we doing here? Like what are we actually
Yeah.
doing? Not knowing how to direct it in a new way, but knowing that where we currently are is actually dog shit. Like this
Yeah.
just needs to go. Like this needs to go somewhere real quick and never come back." But yeah, man, what would you say? Well, we've answered it already in this podcast. I was going to say, what is the answer? What is the antidote to that? It's
Yeah,
to
man.
listen to the first 38 minutes of the podcast, I'll say.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like if you just somehow just jump forward, it's like no, go back, bro.
Go check this out. Go check this out, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's
And
it. Yeah, keep checking yourself.
you touched on it there briefly. You've reminded me now of, you said the person you spoke to actually had a goal to follow, and actually had something pulling them away from the the function of nihilism, which is probably just to be like, okay, nothing can be done, set, it is what it is, I'm being affected constantly, to, oh, well, I actually want to go and do something there. So it's like a complete dichotomy of okay, well, one is I can't do shit, one is like, oh, I'm going to go do something. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh, you changed your behavior. You actually just introduced a new behavior, and that behavior
yeah,
was directed by your intent, and then you saw the result of it on your psychology. It's like, well, how about we try that again? How about we just keep running that
yeah.
same repeat, run
That's
that
it.
pattern rather than running this pattern, and you might
Exactly.
find yourself in a different place. Like it's
Hmm.
yeah, seems pretty obvious now.
Exactly, man. Lean into that, keep running that pattern, and then you're kind of you're grooving a new path,
Mm.
and you start taking that path, and it becomes easier to take that path. Yeah, you're right, man. That's what it is. It's
Too right,
just you
too
realize that
right.
and you're like, oh wait, why haven't I done this? It's like
Mm.
because there's the idea that it's actually easier to do nothing, right? Then even though the long term effect of that is more fucked
Oof.
up than doing something. Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
right? It just makes you go, ugh. It just makes you
Yeah.
shudder. You just realize if I do nothing, that's not going to feel good.
Mm.
But you see the outcome. You see that further down the line. If if you make somebody look at their life like 5, 10, 20 years from now and be like, all right, well, if you keep running this program right now, well, what's it look like? And you go, oh shit, that doesn't look
Mm.
good.
Mm.
And that's the thing is that having that kind of foresight is obviously the older you get, the more important that becomes because you just realize that you got less and less time left, and you just start thinking to yourself, how am I going to spend it, or what am I going to do with it? And I think, but rather, yeah, just take action now. Just realize that. I mean, it's about worldviews in a way, right? So it's like you can be nihilistic and be like, all right, I'm just going to live my life as if nothing matters. But then, where does most prosperity come from? Is like living life as if what you do does matter. And
Mm.
like it's something that again Peterson quotes a lot. It's that Matthew principle. Is like to those who have everything, more will be given. From those who have nothing, everything will be taken. And I think about that more and more and more and more. It's like the more I try and do well or do my thing, the more opportunities that present themselves to me. If I decide to stay in bed all day long, I've got nothing coming my way. And in fact,
Mm.
staying still is the same as moving backwards. So things get worse. So I think about that. Yeah, there's a few things. There's a lot of things I think about, but that being one of them is like, yeah, do your thing. Better things come of it. Opportunities arise without even thinking about it. This itself, our conversation, evolve, achieve, thrive, is one of those things. It's just, hey, man, why don't we just do this?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, we're doing it, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're getting people tuning in who are listening and getting something out of what we're saying, and that's really gratifying, and that's very humbling, and it's allowing us to be better and do better ourselves.
Too right, man. You said something there which really sparked my interest. Like you said, I could sit in bed and nothing would happen. And I
Mm.
suppose like checking it like that, like what areas of your life are you sat in bed in? Like what areas of your life are you actually just because there can definitely be times where it's okay, well, I'll do this work, but I just won't do that work. It's okay,
Mm.
right, well, let's start directing some of your intent toward here because this is going
Mm.
to start putting the place into to bolster your efforts anywhere to basically make you better at that thing. Like
Yeah.
it's such an obvious thing when we break it down like this, but it comes down to what we said last week, which is just sitting alone by yourself for a little bit of time and
Mm.
actually going through that shit to be clear on your intent for going through this stuff. Like
Yeah. Yes.
I need to find the lack in this. Otherwise, like we talked about before, the effectiveness that you could potentially have is now self limiting. Is now self limited by the fact that you haven't done the work in these specific areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. And I love that as well. Be clear on your intent.
Mm,
Is
mm,
just posted about it a little while ago as well. Shiny object syndrome is just there's so many distractions. You're talking about it with social media. That's the
mm,
biggest distraction. And just constantly being online, 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 and you come away from it, you're like, actually, my brain's more scattered. But when you shut that stuff away and you give yourself a little bit of time to recalibrate and you feel clearer headed, you feel more focused. So that's the place you want to be making your intentions from is like, okay,
mm.
now I'm able to think more clearly and I will have a clearer intent. And it's wildly important to have that clarity in your intention as well. So then you just know the path to follow.
I feel like we're not taught this. You know what I mean? Like young enough,
No,
and it's not
yeah,
instilled. Well, I don't feel like it. We know it. You know what I mean? We
yeah,
know it because we see the results of it. It's because it's not taught. You end up just doing and running the same patterns. Like I talked about, like culturally, like the amount of people that I know that have just followed into their parents' footsteps and kind of parents' businesses. Me and my cousin were talking about it this week. Like inherited shit, and you're just like, it's there's this is the result. This is the only way it's going to go. But this is why it's so important for us to be this way and actually bringing this to people's attention, and for people that listen to this to act on it, and then take it out to their own communities and their own families, and really call people out on their lack, because that lack is not just their lack, it's our lack, because this ecosystem, this organism that we all are one of, and part of it's jacked up. I mean, there's like,
Yep.
I was saying this to a client today. I was like, we're kind of like the white blood cells, kind of floating around, trying to get the infection out, but it's kind of spreading. I mean, it's kind of spreading. So we're still doing our thing, but I feel like, yeah, man, we need your,
Yeah.
come on,
Level up.
that's
I
it.
like that
That's
analogy.
yeah,
I like
man.
that analogy, man. With like the white blood cells, but the thing is still spreading. It's
Mm.
like we need to recruit more white blood cells.
I'm gonna go read my biology books, bro. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Dude.
exactly. All right, we got the cytokines. We got the T cells is coming out from here. Right. Okay. Everybody, T cells. That's what you need to
T
be.
formation. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody gets the wrong idea, so I start juicing instead.
That could work, man. That could work. I mean, it'd be pretty effective in an argument. Just like, well, I'm not gonna argue with this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's yeah. I like that analogy. It's a good one. Yeah, it's true. Is fix your shit is how Move You likes to say it. It's that online company, and then but yeah, you just again don't understand the power of the influence that you can have by sorting your own shit out.
Too right, man. Too right. Dead interesting. Come, I think it's that time. I think posterity is calling. Like, give me this first. So, how would you please use it in a sentence? Like, give me that. I feel like this is a spelling bee. But like, could you use it in a sentence?
P-O-S and then you're like, oh shit. Well, yeah, posterity is like, our posterity would be our future generations, my descendants, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what posterity is, but in the so the reason I was thinking about it a lot was because Tenet, for me, Tenet's a great film. The more I watch it, I've like watched it like 4 times now. The more I watch it, the better it gets as well, because there's something more to pick up from it, because it's there's a lot going on for people to pick up. So you watch it as like a bit of a spectacle, and then you start to delve into it. I'm like, yeah, this is a fucking great film, and and so posterity is so in the movie. I don't care if people have or haven't watched it. I'm going to do some spoilers anyway.
Get it, bro.
So yeah, so the main character, the protagonist, he says to the woman Kat, at one stage before the final scene happens and they go into this big battle, he gives her a phone and he's like, look, take this. If you ever feel threatened, hit talk, leave a time and a location, and you'll be all right. And she's like, who's listening? And he just looks at her and says, posterity. And also I've been listening to the soundtrack, the Tenet soundtrack, while I've been running as well. So posterity came on while I was running, and like, you just have those epiphanies while like some BDNF is flowing through your brain, and you're like, oh yeah, something just occurred to me, and I was like, okay, this might be something worth delving into a little bit. And it was the idea that posterity is essentially the future, and future you, or your future generations, and it was the idea that future you is looking out for current you. So this is why having your goals set out and your vision set out is extremely, extremely important to you and for you to achieve the thing you want to achieve. So, and you're talking about clarity of intention, just being super clear about it and just kind of living in it and feeling it and being like, okay, if I was there, if I was, so let's say for me, if I was like, I don't know, if I was like as strong as I wanted to be, what does that feel like? What does that look like to me? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's like the confidence that I get from that. My posture, I just feel grand. I feel like I can do anything. I feel like I can take on the world. Is like, what does it look like? How does it influence other areas of my life? And then I stack those effects up and up and up and up, and going back to inspiration, Brown, that inspires me to take action, right?
Mm.
And so this is my vision of myself in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years. You know, this is my vision of myself at 40, at 45, at 55. And just thinking at 55, yeah, if I could be somebody who's like still fully independent, I don't have any like joint issues, I feel like I can go on a run whenever I want to, I can roll jiu-jitsu, and like, you know, I could like maybe my son would be, I don't know, whatever, a teenager, and I could just go hold my own against him with with a roll or something like that, like fighting in jiu-jitsu, and be able to teach him and still have my capacity, still have my capabilities, feel strong and everything like that. Like that's a beautiful place to be. And so that's future me. And so what do I have to do now to make future me a reality?
Mm.
And so essentially what it's doing is my future is telling me what I need to be doing right now. My future is looking out for me right now. It's holding me accountable. It's saying, okay, if you want this, this is what you got to do right now. And this is the path that you got to take. So if I want that, it's like, okay, well, I got to lift weights and I got to do it regularly, and I got to forego any other unhealthy activities potentially that I might be doing, so that I can feel strong and capable when I'm 55. It's like, okay, great. I need to do this with my nutrition. I need to do this with my sleep. I need to do this with my stress management. I need to do this with my approach to my day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at that guy and being like, I have him to answer to if I don't do this stuff right now. So he's holding me accountable. He's making me a better person. And so that's posterity looking out for me right now. That's where the name came from. So it's not just that you are driving towards something right now. It's also that you, in 20 years, is being pulled towards that individual. You're being pulled in that direction. And that's what kind of like came to me. It was something which I think I've struggled to, I've had the concept of it, but I've struggled to verbalize it. And then thinking about it in the context of the movie, and while I was going for my run, and then just being like, yeah, fuck, that makes a lot more sense to me now. And I hope that made sense to you. Yeah.
I now know what posterity means.
Yeah.
Good job, G. Good job. We're on, man. We're on. Progress.
We worked it. We did it.
Yeah, man. That was really really cool, man. I like that because you can tell it was real. You know, when you were, I can picture the run. I can picture the, like you said, the BDNF like flowing, and then it just like as the music crescendos, G's eyes just go real wide. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh my god, I need to go home and watch
Exactly.
Tenet again. Or something like,
Exactly.
it's legit, man. It's totally legit, and I don't know where to go with this, but the first thing that's coming to mind is if I look back at my own kind of thought process at the start of wanting to change, it was with a very clear goal in mind, like very, very clear, concise. I talk like this, I operate like this, I am seen like this. This is who I am. Now go get it. Like go be there. Like, and along the way, obviously, you need different files to be downloaded. You need different actions and practices to be adopted, and some to be taken away, which obviously will always be an ongoing process. And but the fact that you have this, like you said, future self who is waiting, who's waiting to be realized, but the realization will only come through actions, because time is pulling you that way. But along the way, unless you act in the right path, you're going to get there, and you're going to be kind of vague, kind of like a Chinese knockoff of the way you could be. You know what I mean? Then you're just not going to be happy, because this is like, I don't know if you've seen these like, this like Rolls Royce, I think, had like a lawsuit against this Chinese company called Honky. And legit, it's called Honky, right? And they make this really nice luxury car, but it's clearly like somebody's described, Rolls Royce looks like this down the phone, and it's like they're just like drawing madly, like, oh wow, this is amazing, and then they've just rolled it out, and it has the lady on the front, I think, like the Rolls Royce kind of emblem, and what's it called? Spirit of something, I think. Spirit of Ecstasy, I think, and it's like you end up just that. You'll end up with this vague kind of version of yourself, which it won't be as effective, won't be as kind of directed. And I think in a way, we can almost look at this as small as who were you in 2020 January and who are you 2021 January? Like, did you make enough movements in these 365 days to appease who you want to be and how you want to be and where you want to be? If not, check yourself over the last week. Like, if your shit ain't going the right way, now's the time, because like it's not gonna magically right itself. Like, shit just don't do that. But even if some by some miracle, like, oh, lottery landed in your pocket or whatever, you still wouldn't have the right things to move in that direction, right? So you've this it's happening right now. Like, the writing is on the wall, and you need to wake up and, like, this is, again, I'm talking to myself here. Like, back in the day, it was almost like I had to just have this light bulb moment, but all of those were kind of moving me further and further away from where I wanted to be. And then it was like, no, God, like, this is actually scary now. I need to move in the right direction, otherwise I'm not going to get there. And it was with almost like a panic and a yeah, initially it was just like a panic, like, I have to just go away from this, otherwise I'm never going to get to where I want to be, and I really want to be there yesterday. You know what I mean? I feel like that reflection is the initial thing to spark this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. I think that's a great quotable as well. Don't be a Chinese knockoff of yourself.
Don't be a Chinese knockoff of yourself. That's it, man. That's it. That's it. We're done, guys. We're done. We've
Yeah.
peaked. We've
Oh, that's excellent. Bro, that hits it home, man. It's like, it's true. It's like, what do you want to do? You just want to keep buying the same broken thing, like thing that breaks after 3 weeks. Like, no, you want to make yourself a solid, make yourself out of solid parts. You know, make yourself out of stuff that actually holds together well, and can last you a lifetime. Is Yeah, don't be a Chinese knockoff of yourself.
I like that analogy. I was thinking this is the dumbest thing to say, but fucking hell, it landed somewhere. He's happy with it. I think this dude's
Yeah,
fine.
totally.
It's great.
It is. It's a fantastic. It's a great analogy. I think it is because, it happened to me, right? So I've got a coffee machine now. Like, Sam bought me a coffee machine, and it was a surprise as well. I didn't even know it was coming my way. I was like, bro, you got that for me?
Oh, legend.
Don't look at me now. Don't look at me. I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to start crying. Because it's just one of those things where it's like, I like coffee. I have it every day. He's a big coffee aficionado as well. So it's just like, all right, yeah. He bought a coffee machine a couple of months ago to have at home, and I started when I was at home. I was just like drinking some. I was like, fuck, this is great, man. It's like,
Nice.
there's a barista making for me, and then this is the next level, and and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this one day. I'm gonna do this one day. It's like, it'll happen. But I've got like I got a really nice coffee shop near me as well, like 5 minute walk. It was kind of part of my day. It was like, get up in the morning, and then one of the things I would do would be like go out, go get my coffee, because it's just a way, an excuse for me to get outside as well, and then come back in. And but now, like, I don't have to do that. I've got this like sick ass coffee machine. But
Love it.
but one of the mistakes that I made was getting this coffee grinder, and you making mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, right? It's like, I was
Definitely.
like, fuck's sake, I was getting so hyped and so excited to use this coffee machine, and I had to wait a little bit longer. It's just basically, I bought this like a blade coffee grinder, and anybody who's into coffee will know that's just a rookie mistake to make straight off the bat. I was like, why does my coffee taste like shit? I mean, it even smells like shit when I pull it out of this grinder. What the fuck's going on? So I would look at it, I'd be like, the grind's not even. Like, what is this? So when it's not even, the water's not going to pour through evenly. So you're just going to get the shit. You're just going to get something that tastes like shit, basically. And so I was upset about that. I was like, man, this thing's supposed to be a coffee grinder, and ain't even grinding my coffee. And it's like, you shouldn't get a blade one. You should actually get like a burr grinder. So I'm going to
Right.
go off on one about coffee and shit right now. But basically, I was like, well, this is shit. All right, fine. I mean, I ain't got any other use for you now as well. I'm just gonna have to get rid of you, or try and return you. And yeah, it was just like this knockoff thing that doesn't do the thing it's supposed to do, even though it's marketed as the thing that it's supposed to do. I'm like, no, that's not it.
Weak.
So
Weak.
yeah, don't be an electric coffee grinder. Be a better version. Be a burr coffee grinder.
Be a burr. Be the best burr you can be. That's what it'll be.
Be the best burr you can be. Oh,
Madness.
fantastic!
Madness.
That's a quote. That's gonna go to a t-shirt, man. We got so many of those. We got so many t-shirts to make.
Too right, man. Too right. I had something I wanted to say, but I've completely got it out of my head. It was it's there. It's there. It's coming. It's coming. Guys, just wait on me. Wait on me. Um,
Yeah.
oh god damn it. No, it's not coming back, man.
Hmm.
It will just burst into life and I have to cut you off, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
that's fine.
pre-warning you right now. But
That's all right.
what were we talking about? Posterity. I keep saying posterity.
Yeah. Yeah, prosthetics. It's
Prosthetics.
did G get like a limb replacement? And they're like, oh, posterity.
Posterity.
Do you remember, do you remember when that Simpsons episode from back in the day where like Homer's trying to get into shape and he runs by the gym and he sees the sign, it says gym, and he's like, a gym? What the hell's a gym? And then he walks in and he's like, oh, a gym. Do you remember that?
So good. I remember that. I remember that.
That's
So
this is one of
good.
the one of the best lines ever of any TV show. That was cracking me up. So it's
Nice,
like,
man.
so for you, it's like posterity. What's like prosperity? Prosperity? Oh, prosperity.
This is terrible. This is the worst. I can't read, man. I can't read. Nah, man. It's gone.
That's
It's
great.
gone, G. It's gone. What was I going to say, man? This is good as well. This was good. But
All right, it'll come. It'll
it
come.
was,
Don't worry.
uh, it was, it
It
was, it was,
happens every week.
yeah, too right, man. Too right. It was just about, no, no, not even a little bit, man. Not even a little bit. And I'm trying. I'm real trying here.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry about it, man. It'll come.
I'm gonna get off that one. I'm gonna get off that one and
I'll tell
come
you
another one.
what I'll do is we said BDNF a few times. I said it as well. I think there's no point just throwing out stuff without everybody getting in context of what it means. BDNF is just brain-derived neurotropic factor. All it is just some chemical gets released in your brain when you're exercising, and it has a strong connection to neuroplasticity, which is just basically your brain's ability to rewire itself. So you have more of that thing floating around in you after you've done exercise, and so what you can translate that into is, there you go. See, it came. It's like, but what it translates into is, I'll finish that off. What it translates into is basically the more exercise you do, the more capacity your brain has to change. So for things you're trying to memorize, for cognitive goals that you might have, like reading or getting better at something, exercise is important to make that process happen because it gets that BDNF flowing around through your brain. So that's why that got brought up.
That's
Because that's
legit,
what was
man.
happening to me while I was running. Had that BDNF flowing, and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah! Now I'm inspired. Something came to me."
Bro, this morning I think I must have had, I don't know how much flowing through my big fat head. Right, this workout this morning. I can't tell you how I've never felt this magnetized to my bed ever before a workout. Like getting up and actually could feel like this don't leave, just stay here and be mediocre, like stay
Yeah.
and like it's warm. And man, I was just like I was tired. I had 4.5 hours sleep last night, like from start to finish, like not great. But it was, I promised myself yesterday that I would go in this morning, and it felt palpable. Like I'm actually being like drawn back to my bed. And obviously this is a
Yeah.
fucking, it's a head game, right? That you're kind of making for yourself, because you are cold when you get out of bed. You feel a bit like groggy, and if you've had 4.5 hours, like it ain't great. But eventually I get up and I start walking around and I start kind of like sort myself out and brush my teeth and whatnot and get my clothes on. Even while I'm getting dressed, I'm just like, I'm warm now. I can get back in bed. This feels great. Like I should actually just like this feels better than what I'm about to go and feel.
Yeah.
And eventually I get in the car and it's like, okay, dark road, and I feel like I can just clear my head and just kind of get something done. But I had a thought while I was training, and the thought was, it kind of links into posterity, in the sense that if you were in your home and you went upstairs, and every time you went upstairs, the floor kind of collapsed underneath you, right? You would know that you needed to go to find a builder. right?
Yeah.
Like this is not something that I can fix on my own. And your future self would be like, go find a builder, because this is that
Yeah.
time where you ring the plumber or you ring the floor guy or whatever. But
Yeah.
I feel like there's such a block with people and the gym and getting into shape and actually taking control of their life, to the point where when they try and bend over to pick something up and their back hurts, or when they try and, I don't know, stick to a goal or anything and they don't do it, they don't think to like contact somebody who may be a personal trainer, maybe, or a person who actually tries to move people toward where they need to be. And I don't understand why that link is there, because personally I feel like I've contacted so many people over the years to be like, I'm not good at this, like I need to understand where you're at, or I need to kind of feel like I feel like you could help me in any which way. And I feel like I'm doing that right now with a few different people, tossing up which way I want to go. But that's an odd thing. Don't you find that? Don't you find that kind of amongst people you know, that there's clearly something off here, but the action from moving you from point A to point B is just not there. I don't
Yeah.
understand. I don't understand what that is.
Yeah. I think.
Where do you think that's derived from?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think one of the things is if we were talking about the body, I think the body gets taken for granted quite easily because,
Mm,
I mean, it's such an obvious thing to say, but I think it's also quite simply profound. Is like your body is the one thing that you have for the rest of your life, for your whole life, and the only thing that you have for your whole life. So, and you can look at it and be like, yeah, life is a long, long thing. It's like, oh, I can always wait till tomorrow. I can always solve that problem tomorrow. So it's not really that big a deal. And so because of that, the thing always gets pushed away, gets pushed off. And
mm,
also, I guess also the idea is because you have a body, everybody has a body. Is like, how could it be that I'm not the master of my own body? So that doesn't make any sense to me. So that could be something that plays into it as well. It's like, no, I know what's good for me. I know what's
mm,
right for me. And so you can have a bit too much. It's like without realizing it, it's just have a bit too much pride around taking care of your shit. I think the urgency with which the problems need to be solved. I don't think we're looking because we're so distracted and everything is quite like convenient. And so when something comes up and it's like it just shows its head, it's like there's just a slight problem. And but if you look at that problem and okay, I got a niggle in my knee. If that niggle in my knee is like, oh, whatever, I can just walk it off a little bit. But then that niggle is constantly, oh, I'll just walk it off a little bit. Oh, I could just walk it off a little bit. And he's like, oh, it lasts a bit longer now. He's like, oh, I need to walk a little bit longer to walk it off. That in itself is just not giving enough of a signal that something needs to be done about it. Not
mm,
really
mm,
looking at. I was like, oh, it's just a little problem with my knee. What could come of it?
mm,
And so there's it comes down taking it for granted and the culture of convenience. So it's like, well, I can't do anything which knocks me out of my normal routine. I don't want this to be an issue, so I'm just going to ignore it as an issue. I think that happens a lot until it's just to the point where you can't ignore it anymore. Like your knee is screaming out at you. You can't bend your knee. You can't walk. You can't get into a car. You can't climb up the
mm,
stairs. You can't pick up your freaking shopping off the ground. Then it's like, all right, well, I've got a big problem now. And even at that stage, it's just getting resigned to having this problem for the rest of your life and not
mm.
realizing that there are solutions and options out there. Um, I think those are a bunch of things. I think
Yeah, man, you're totally right. You're totally right.
mm,
No, I
I
feel like
think
at a certain point, it's almost like a disconnect with education at a certain level.
yeah,
Like almost like I almost want to say like that part of the education system is not really as strong as it could be, because if you think about it, like we leave school and then all we do is can't wait to leave, and that feeling quickly turns into, oh shit, like what do I do now, like that. And it's I feel like that's such a big hole where us as personal trainers know the value of getting your shit in order and doing it from the level of the body, because like you said, that's the thing that's going to go with you through your entire life, and then having that permeate through to other things. But I feel like we don't because we don't have that appreciation in terms of education, and we're not inspired by how we could live enough early on by whether it be the institution or the educators themselves, I don't know. It results in us having this kind of, you don't really have the answer, and the answers to us seem so obvious, but to somebody who doesn't know, you don't know what you don't know, and that's
exactly
that's
it.
a pretty key thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to think, because like that list isn't exhaustive as well, and what you said is exactly right as well. You don't know what you don't know, because the thing that came to my mind was, watching, like we talked about it mentioned it last week, the Game Changers documentary, right? Documentary in quotation marks, is like mockumentary, is it's essentially people watch it and be like, oh, I didn't know that things like this could be a problem for me. So there you go. So that happens. But yeah, it's just, disconnect is a good way to put it. And at the end of the day, I mean, the education system isn't really geared towards turning you into a thinker. It's geared towards turning you into somebody who's obedient. It's not there's not a lot of useful stuff to come out of it. Anybody who I know who's like effective but doing their own thing as well didn't learn how to do that at school. And
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I think I know you didn't.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. But
And
I feel like go on.
well, I was just going to reel off some examples, and now like a Prescript Brothers, Bilal, he did economics at uni, but he's like, I ain't using it. I'm PT. And also me and we had a little brief message exchange about like how what we learned in economics was bullshit anyway, because it doesn't actually help understand what is good economics for long-term prosperity. It was just all a load of nonsense. And then TJ, he's like he barely had schooling, right? He's learned by doing, and he's doing his schooling now, but he's choosing what to learn, and that's a much more effective way of getting good at stuff and becoming a good thinker. And my bro, the business he set up with Shad, and then people who are like, even you could consider within the system, who are like doing jobs, but like the ones who I know who are doing them well are like they're imposing good, like the skills that they have, the common sense in a lot of cases, really, that you don't actually learn at school. Is you learn by life experience, or having just good people around you to teach you that kind of thing. So there's like, education isn't really geared towards anybody learning how to do their shit well.
Wow, that's big, man. That is actually really big. I feel like, based on some of the conversations we've had outside the podcast, and like in terms of directional intent with how we are to orientate ourselves, or we are to even move our people forward, I feel like that's such a key thing you've just hit on there. Like, it's not actually designed to make you a thinker, and it's not led through inspiration, it's not led through posterity, it's not led through any of these I didn't learn that word in school, you just taught me it right now, like it's not led through directional intent. Like, why are we even here? What's the end goal? Because like you said, you just learn it there and then in the context to pass the exam, and then to feel good about a letter that you get at the end of it. And it's such a finite thing, but then there's no movement past that. And like we said earlier, like that creates that the sum of those parts are going to lead to somebody who will get to other areas of their life and hasn't got the file to say, okay, no, there's a problem. This is the solution. This is the problem. I haven't been told the solution, or I haven't never been explained this. And that's really the truth, isn't it? It's that we kind of get to a place in our life that we get there, we don't know, we're there by age, but there's no guarantee that we actually know the inputs to now move us forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a weird one, man. It's a weird one, but that's like I said earlier, with those like listening to the podcast, it'd be interesting to hear your take on that system, and whether you feel like it served, and how you feel it served you, and whether you feel it's moved you toward where you wanted to be, or even questioned where do you even want to be, or even instilled the process of thinking at that age, which it's difficult because obviously you're just a kid in secondary school and in sixth form or college or whatever. But I feel like there's an intelligent way of thinking about this outside of, especially right now. I mean, let's be honest, like schools are closed, things aren't really, and the education that kids are receiving right now will be more than ever just to pass the exam, sit the lesson. It won't be, because there's so much to do. There's so much to kind of get on with. It won't be directed with the intent of let's move future thinkers forward. It will just be let's just maintain exam grade averages and look good that we were able to do this through a pandemic. And fine, fantastic that you are able to do that. But now more than ever, people need more.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. Definitely now more than ever, because there's a pandemic and lack of free thinking or being able to disseminate information. Well, part of that is because there is so much bullshit information out there anyway. And whichever angle you look at it, is there's kind of like this culture of we're just going to make shit up and put it out there, and somebody can somebody and then yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I mean, a lot of stuff that I see, yeah, it's not looking good. It's in a lot of respects in that sense. So the best thing you can do for yourself, well, here's an example of it as well, is because of the fact that so many lessons and stuff, especially for young kids, like they've transitioned to them online. There's been like people, like parents who have ended up. This is more like American school system stories, but I'm sure. I mean, it's just mimetic. It happens here as well. It's like we do whatever the US does. Like for is so one of the things that they've noticed is like they're looking into school lessons and stuff, and then school teachers like okay, there's a twofold argument for it as well. It's like your school teachers like we don't want parents around so that it can be like what it would be like at school, the children's time. But then the flip is like well, what do you not want us to see that you're teaching our kids? And some parents who have like kind of just like listened in and just been watching, being like, what the fuck is this? Like, what are they? What kind of so-called thinking are they teaching my kids? To the extent where there are people who start to believe that men can have periods, right? So this sounds like a leap, but it's just essentially the whole gender politics, identity politics, gender politics, and stuff like that, which has started infiltrating the way people think, and so yeah, so there's that line of thinking. Sure, it sounds extreme, but there is that extreme that exists, and it's coming from people who are being educated at school. So it's like, what are we learning? What is the value of the things that we're learning? And
that's a big thing.
And yeah, so it's important to be able to. Yeah, the biggest thing you can do is like be able to think critically and be able to approach a subject from both angles, and then just kind of take it from there. Really, is just start making your own fact-based opinions rather than just hearing out opinions spouted around. It's like you said, now more than ever, man, because there's so much shit that's flying around, so many opinions that are flying around, and I feel like I've just got to do the research on everything I need to know for myself, because I'm not going to listen to what's being said about let's take the vaccine or whatever, or what's happening with mental health, what's happening with excess deaths or anything like that. It's like I don't want to hear it from people. I just want to see the numbers myself, and I want to understand the research as best as I can for myself, and then hold on to those. Hold on to the research findings, as opposed to just listen to people blindly. And yeah, I think that's a key thing that needs to be picked up from being educated. Is just don't listen to people blindly. Just take what gets said and treat it with a pinch of salt, and just try and understand it on a deeper level.
Too right, man. Too right. I find that's like the further this is kind of going, like I'm talking to our parents about what school was like, I feel like they got a bit more of a concrete thing that I stay. My mum will bust out like long division and be like, this is how this shit's done, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, obviously there's techniques and stuff around that now, but I
Yeah,
feel like
because obviously there's value in certain things, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah.
but the it's just because the playing field is different now in terms of the
Mm.
world. I feel like there's so much more bullshit that we just, like you said it really well now. What is the value of the things we are learning? It's such a
Mm.
simple phrase, but stopping to think about it and being like, well, what's the application? I remember thinking about that in regards to like, I don't know, sedimentary, igneous rocks. Like
Yeah.
really, like this is what my life needs to be taken up by right now. Like, I, I, I mean, yeah, it's geography is fun and all, but let's have a little bit less of this shit. Let's see how it actually applies.
Bro, there's
Mm,
I would say don't knock that shit, man, because Randall Carlson, he's a hero. I'll tell you that. You know Randall Carlson.
no, jog
Tell
my
me you
memory.
know him, man. Oh, bro.
Tell me. Who is he?
He's been on Rogan a few times, and he's talked about like he's an astronomer, geologist. He's a builder by trade. He's just a straight up like triple OG, like super
Oh yeah,
gangster. Like
pass me
his
by,
late
man.
60s, probably you know 70s now. But
Mm,
he's just basically he's spent his whole life just looking at the history of the Earth essentially, and
mm,
just positing the idea that well, there's more and more facts coming out to support more and more evidence coming out to support it. That there was like this huge cataclysmic event that happened like somewhere between 11,600 years ago and 12,800 years ago, which wiped out half the globe essentially. So yeah, geology, man, it's fun shit.
Geology rocks, dude.
Exactly. I like good pun.
I don't know where that's from, but I think that's Big Bang Theory. I can't claim that.
Right.
I'm not that
Yeah.
quick. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
But yeah, for me,
Interesting.
like that comes down to human history as well. But yeah, again, like to the point of uh, yeah, have like all right. Here's a little bit of that if that's going
Mm,
to interest you. Like you got a chance to take it further. There's, I
mm,
mean, it's a tricky one. Is yeah, just solving the education system problem, but there isn't. You can't because it's a system, right? It's this big onerous system that's put upon you. So the best way to solve it is to learn that shit yourself, or you got kids going through it. Is like teach them the important stuff. Is like, okay, learn this shit, learn whatever they tell you to do, but remember, here's the important stuff to learn, like how to think about the problem that you got in front of you, how to tackle this solution. Is like not just um, how to learn well. Like you don't get taught how to
mm,
learn well at school. That was a big problem for me. It's like you don't get taught how to learn properly, how to learn well. You just get told to do this shit. And
mm,
yeah, so yeah, the I think the most important lessons are probably learned outside of school, but then you got to be in a position to be able to teach those lessons outside of school and be able to articulate them and provide that value.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree.
Whereas it's quite difficult for a lot of parents to be able to do that, isn't it?
Well, it's just running the same pattern, isn't it? It's like the parents sometimes weren't taught it, and the kids aren't going to be taught it, and then the conversation around the dinner table is quite basic,
Mm.
and that's the issue because it's like generational. What would you say? Just generational absence, and
Mm.
mm, that's not going to work, eh? That's not going to
Yeah.
work because like this Randall Carlson guy, like it's pretty amazing that he's doing what he's doing and studying the Earth, but at the same time, if it's all going to shit around us, like let's the rest of us who ain't doing shit. Like
Mm.
that's or not doing shit, but the rest of us who are here, it's kind of guiding us in a certain way, right? We need
Yeah.
to work at this. Like you say, theme of today is like now more than ever, right?
Hmm.
Inspire yourself with some posterity, people, and let's move
Yeah.
on forward.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah, man.
And I think to that point as well is you've got like in the context of your life, because life can seem quite long, right?
Hmm.
And so
I don't know about that, man. Life seems hella short to me right now.
yeah, exactly. But like it's it can seem quite long in the context. So yeah, it can seem really long or it can seem really short, right? It just kind of like depends on like how you're looking at it, what you're trying to do with yourself, um, but so and what perspective you're giving it. So I think in the perspective that I'm talking about is like life can seem quite long because that's the only thing you ever experience in of the world in that
Mm-hmm.
period, and so because that's your window, it's like this is it, this is everything, and so your context, your operating system is based on the things that you've experienced, and the more you experience, in theory, the better your perspective. And so you finish your life, and you're like, you know what, or you're going through life, you're like, okay, I have these things to be able to offer, or this kind of knowledge, and that's going to help me operate in a certain way in the life that we live. But also, especially, well, I'd say pre March 2020, everybody was like, you know, we live in the best. This is the best time ever. We had the most stability for the longest time ever, and everything is great. And there's plenty of people like our age group who've just never seen like systemic hardship or global hardship like that, because everything in our time frame is improved. Like the the global everybody, like the number of people living in under the poverty line has halved, I think, in the
Mm-hmm.
time, or maybe in the last 50, 60 years has halved in that time, which is crazy levels of progress.
Mm-hmm.
According to that UN definition of, you know, $1 a day, there's that number of people living under that line has halved. Under $1 a day has halved, and then you've got child mortality rates have dramatically declined across the world. So all these so-called markers of human prosperity have improved, and so it's like, yeah, we're living in the best time ever. But
Mm-hmm.
but I think context is bigger than just our life.
Yep.
So we need to be able to look at history, right? We need to be able to look at how we've kind of arrived at this point, and how we um, gone through that process to be where we are right now. And then when you do that, there's a perspective shift, because
Mm.
that's why. So I want to link that to the geology idea as well, and like Randall Carlson and talking about there potentially being a cataclysmic event that wiped out half the Earth just 12,000 years ago. Why that's important is because we shape all of our understanding of history um, based on what we find. And well, if there's a bunch of shit out there that got wiped out, then we don't know. We really don't know what we're about. We really don't know where we come from. We don't know, and we don't know that we can say we can't. Nobody should say with any kind of certainty. And but I hear it all the time. It's like, you know, we live in the best time ever. So well, how do you know that? Is why don't what's the and there's a possibility that just with things as time goes on, things don't always get better.
Mm.
Is a possibility that is we live in like a kind of like, maybe like a spiral, like a circular thing. Is like things go better for a while, then they get go backwards a bit, and then they get shit again, then they get better again, and they get shit again, they get better again. So maybe, you know, there's a loop in the grand scheme of things. So that's a perspective shift, because then that makes you think like, okay, well, if that's the case, then over the course of generations and lifetimes, like, okay, I live in one lifetime, I could just ignore all that information and be like, yeah, but things are going to be great during my lifetime because that's all I've seen. But
Mm.
then the perspective shift is actually, no, maybe I should prepare for the idea that things ain't going to be great. And when you
Mm.
start to do that, maybe you take your health a bit more seriously. You're like, okay, well, things could get bad. And lo and behold, things have got bad, because supposedly hospitals are getting overrun, and people aren't being allowed to go for routine appointments and routine checkups, and um, with for their health. And if that's not happening, then you're going to miss things like cancer screenings aren't happening. So you're not going to spot a cancer issue, and then 6 months later, that person who could have actually received treatment and could have been fine if they got caught early is going to die. So
Mm.
you got all those kinds of problems coming up. So instead of taking for granted that everything's going to be okay, you want to look at like the history, or just take a perspective and be like, no, not everything's going to be okay. I'm hopeful, but I will prepare for the worst possible outcome, and therefore that means me taking care of my health. Because if I take care of my health, I don't have to, as I'm reducing the chances of needing something like that level of care when things aren't available to me. So I think, that was just like a long way of saying broaden your perspective by looking at something bigger than your life, because we're in a phase where everything has looked really, really good for a long time, and people don't know how to approach what the situation we're in right now. But if you take a broader view, take a longer view, look at history, you'll understand where we are, you'll understand where we're going from this point, and what you need to do to take care of your shit.
Maybe a really interesting topic to cover in a later podcast. Looking back at old times where we have been through times of struggle, and what resulted and what could have resulted, and what potentially how we can orientate ourselves now.
Yeah, man.
Really interesting, man. Really interesting. Should we call it there?
Let's do it. Good
Bob Sheep's
times
Lab, episode 38, coming at you.
coming at you. It's like, thank you for tuning in once again for the second episode of 2021, and this ain't going nowhere. So we're going to keep it going. If you're enjoying it, if you got the value from it, please let us know. We'd love to hear where you're coming from, what thoughts you have around the kind of things we're discussing, how it's helped you, what kind of things you might not agree with some of the stuff that we talk about. It's always good to get different perspectives, because that's a part of growth. And leave us a review, leave us a rating in the Apple Podcasts iTunes store, because that really helps us to get the podcast out there, get the exposure. If you're watching on YouTube, then please leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and leave a comment about what this episode done for you. And we're always really appreciative of the fact that you guys are listening, and it makes it more fun for us.
100%. Thank you, everybody. Speak to you soon.